I caught my best friend cheating on their wife, should I tell? So, I'm in a bit of a dilemma and need your advice. My name's Jake, and I've been best friends with Matt for about a decade. We've been through a lot together, from college parties to job changes and everything in between. Matt's been in a serious relationship with a woman named Emily for almost 5 years now. They seemed like the perfect couple, always posting cute photos on social media, attending events together, and generally living that picture-perfect life. But here's where things get complicated. Over the past few months, I've noticed some odd changes in Matt's behavior. He's been more secretive with his phone, canceling plans at the last minute, and he just seems off. At first, I thought maybe he was just going through a rough patch at work or something, but then I started to see other signs. There were random text messages he left open on his phone that had weird, flirtatious comments from someone I didn't recognize. I tried to brush it off, thinking I might be reading too much into things, but the gut feeling wouldn't go away. A couple of weeks ago, I decided to swing by Matt's place to drop off some old photos I'd found of us. When I got there, Matt wasn't home, but his door was unlocked. I thought it was odd, so I went in to leave the photos on his kitchen counter. That's when I noticed a couple of used condoms in the trash can in the bathroom, and they definitely weren't from Matt and Emily. That was my first real confirmation that something was seriously wrong. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I decided to keep an eye out and gather more evidence before making any accusations. Little did I know, this would lead me down a path I hadn't anticipated. I'm torn between wanting to confront Matt and not knowing if I should keep quiet. Emily is a really great person, and she doesn't deserve to be in the dark about something like this. But I also don't want to ruin my friendship with Matt, or get involved in something that might be more complicated than it appears. So I've been grappling with what I found and trying to piece together what's really going on. I decided to keep my distance and observe Matt's behavior a bit more closely, hoping that it would clarify things. And boy, did it ever. A few days after discovering those condoms, I happened to bump into Matt at a coffee shop. He was with a woman I didn't recognize. They were sitting at a secluded table, whispering and laughing like they were sharing some secret. I tried to act normal, but my heart was racing. I couldn't hear everything they were saying, but from their body language, it was clear there was more than just friendly conversation going on. That evening, I decided to take a risk and follow Matt. It's not something I'm proud of, but I had to find out the truth. I trailed him to a bar that wasn't his usual hangout. When I walked in, Matt was there with the same woman from the coffee shop. They were all over each other, holding hands, kissing, and clearly very into each other. I was devastated. It was clear as day that Matt was cheating on Emily, and he was doing it with someone who wasn't just a fling, but seemed to be someone he had feelings for. I felt like I was in a surreal nightmare. Part of me wanted to confront Matt right there, but I knew that wouldn't solve anything and might make things worse. When I got home, I tried to make sense of it all. My emotions were all over the place: anger, sadness, confusion. It wasn't just about catching Matt in the act, it was about the betrayal and the impact it would have on Emily. I couldn't imagine how she would feel if she found out. She trusted Matt, and here he was, shattering that trust. So, after a few days of stewing over the whole situation, I decided I couldn't keep this to myself any longer. I knew I had to confront Matt, but I wasn't sure how to go about it. I wanted to avoid making things worse, so I tried to approach it carefully. I arranged to meet Matt for lunch, and he seemed a bit more relaxed than usual, probably because he had no idea what was coming. We chatted about random things at first, but I could tell something was off with me. He kept glancing at his phone and seemed distracted. After a while, I decided to dive in. "Hey, Matt," I started, trying to keep my voice steady. "I need to talk to you about something. It's kind of serious." He looked up, a mix of curiosity and apprehension on his face. "What's up, Jake? You're scaring me a bit." I took a deep breath. "I've noticed some things lately, things that don't add up. I saw you with someone else a few days ago. It looked like more than just a casual thing. I found some condoms at your place that definitely weren't yours and Emily's." Matt's face went pale. For a moment he was silent, trying to process what I'd just said. Then he let out a long sigh and rubbed his face. "Jake, he began, but he seemed at a loss for words. Finally, he looked at me with a mix of guilt and defensiveness. "Look, I didn't want you to find out this way. I've been seeing someone else. It started as a mistake, but it's turned into something more complicated. I never meant for it to get this far." I could feel my heart pounding. "Matt, how could you do this to Emily?" She's been nothing but good to you. You're hurting her and ruining everything you had." Matt looked away, ashamed. "I know. I screwed up, Jake. I really don't know what to say. I've been trying to figure out how to fix this, but I didn't want to face it." His excuses felt hollow. I was angry and disappointed, and I knew I had to decide what to do next. This wasn't just about Matt and Emily anymore. It was about my own role in this mess and how I was going to handle it. Confronting Matt was one of the hardest things I've ever done. After our lunch, I was a bundle of emotions: anger, betrayal, sadness, and confusion. I couldn't stop thinking about Emily and how she'd react to this news. I mean, I've always considered her a friend, and it was killing me to think of her being hurt like this. I spent the rest of the day replaying the conversation in my head. Matt's guilt was evident, but it felt like too little, too late. I couldn't shake the image of him with that other woman, and the thought of him betraying someone so close to me made me sick. I kept imagining what Emily's reaction would be and how her world would be shattered. That night, I found myself unable to sleep. I lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, and my mind wouldn't stop racing. I thought about all the good times Matt and Emily had shared: vacations, family gatherings, and the countless moments that seemed so perfect. It felt like all of it had been a lie, and it was heartbreaking. I also started to question our friendship. Could I still trust Matt? Could I even look at him the same way again? It was hard to reconcile the guy I'd called my best friend with the person who had done something so cruel. I felt like I was losing two important people in my life, and it was weighing heavily on me. In my moments of clarity, I knew I had to make a decision about whether to tell Emily. It wasn't just about what would happen to Matt and Emily's relationship, but also about my own conscience and integrity. I didn't want to be the person who knew and did nothing. But I also feared the fallout. How would this affect Matt, Emily, and even our wider circle of friends? It was a messy, complicated situation, and I was struggling to find a way through it. After days of agonizing over what to do, I finally made a decision. I knew I couldn't keep this secret from Emily. It was eating me alive, and I had to do the right thing, even if it meant dealing with the fallout. I called Emily and asked if we could meet up for coffee. I tried to act normal on the phone, but my heart was pounding. When we met, she was her usual cheerful self, but I could see a hint of stress in her eyes. She mentioned work being particularly demanding. I knew this wasn't going to be an easy conversation. We sat down in a quiet corner of the cafe, and I tried to find the right words. "Emily, there's something I need to tell you, and it's really important. I don't know how to say this, but I've seen something that I think you need to know about." Emily looked concerned, and I could see her bracing herself. "What is it, Jake?" I took a deep breath and laid it all out. How I had seen Matt with another woman, how I had found evidence of his infidelity, and how I was worried about the impact it would have on her. I tried to be as honest and straightforward as possible, but it was difficult to watch the pain and shock on her face as the words sank in. Emily's reaction was a mix of disbelief and devastation. She was quiet for a long moment, just processing the information. Tears started streaming down her face, and she struggled to find her voice. I don't know what to say. I trusted him. I thought we were building something real. I felt like my heart was breaking for her. I wanted to comfort her, but I knew I had to give her space to process this. We talked for a bit longer, and I did my best to answer her questions and be supportive. She mentioned she needed time to think and decide what to do next. Leaving the cafe, I felt a heavy weight lift off my shoulders, but it was replaced by a deep sadness. I had done what I thought was right, but I couldn't escape the reality that this situation was going to cause a lot of pain for everyone involved. I hoped Emily would find the strength to move forward, but I knew it was going to be a long and difficult road ahead. After telling Emily about Matt's infidelity, things moved pretty quickly. She was a whirlwind of emotions: shock, sadness, and anger. I could see the hurt in her eyes, and it was hard to watch her go through such a painful experience. Emily needed some space to process everything, so she went home to be alone. We agreed to check in with each other later, and I gave her some time to gather her thoughts. The next few days were tense and uncertain. I kept thinking about how Matt would react when he found out Emily knew. I imagined there would be a confrontation, and I wasn't sure if I was ready for that. A few days after our coffee meetup, Emily reached out to me. She was calm, but resolute. "I've decided to talk to Matt," she said. "I need to hear it from him directly and figure out what to do next." I wished her strength and reminded her I was here for support. When Emily and Matt met, I wasn't sure what to expect. I knew it would be a painful conversation, but I hoped it would bring some clarity for both of them. Emily told me that their conversation was intense. Matt was initially defensive and tried to make excuses, but Emily stood firm. She confronted him with all the evidence and demanded honesty. Matt eventually admitted to the affair and expressed remorse, but his apologies felt hollow in the face of the betrayal. Emily made it clear that she needed time to decide whether she could forgive Matt or if it was time to end their relationship. It was a heart-wrenching situation, and the outcome was still uncertain. Emily was determined to make the decision that was best for her, and I respected her strength and resolve. Meanwhile, I was left to navigate my own feelings about the whole ordeal. I felt guilty for being involved in such a messy situation, but also relieved that I had done the right thing by telling Emily. It was a bittersweet moment, knowing that while I had done the right thing, the road ahead would be challenging for everyone involved. Things have been a whirlwind since Emily confronted Matt. The fallout from that conversation has been intense, and it's been hard to watch everything unfold. Emily decided to take a break from Matt. She moved into a friend's place to give herself some space and time to think. The breakup wasn't official yet, but the relationship was definitely on pause. Emily was heartbroken, and seeing her struggle was incredibly difficult. She would often call me, needing to vent or just to talk things through. I tried my best to be a supportive friend, but I felt helpless knowing I couldn't fully fix her pain. Matt, on the other hand, was a mess. He reached out to me multiple times, trying to explain himself and ask for advice on how to fix things with Emily. I listened to him, but my sympathy was limited. It was hard to listen to his excuses when I knew how much he had hurt Emily. He seemed genuinely regretful, but also deeply confused about how to make things right. As days turned into weeks, Matt's attempts to reconcile with Emily were met with mixed results. Emily agreed to meet with him a few times to discuss their relationship and what went wrong. Their conversations were emotionally charged, filled with tears and regrets. Matt promised to change and make amends, but Emily was wary. She was taking things one step at a time and not rushing into any decisions. The entire situation was weighing heavily on me. I felt a mix of relief that I had done the right thing, but also a deep sadness for all the pain everyone was experiencing. I was caught in a tough spot, wanting to support Emily while also trying to manage my complicated friendship with Matt. It was hard to balance both sides, and I found myself questioning whether I had done the right thing by getting involved at all. The emotional strain was taking its toll on me. I started to feel the impact of the situation on my own mental health. I realized that sometimes doing the right thing doesn't come with easy answers or happy outcomes. It's a painful reminder that life is messy, and even the best intentions can lead to difficult consequences. The situation with Matt and Emily continued to evolve, and things took a turn as Matt became increasingly desperate to win Emily back. He seemed to be struggling with the reality of their relationship ending and tried every possible avenue to prove his remorse and commitment. Matt started showing up at Emily's friend's place where she was staying, hoping to have face-to-face conversations. Each visit was a mix of pleading and apologies. He brought flowers, wrote heartfelt letters, and even tried to recreate some of their most cherished memories in an attempt to rekindle their connection. I was shocked at how far he was going to make things right, but it was also clear that his efforts were causing more stress for Emily. Emily, understandably, was conflicted. On one hand, she saw Matt's efforts and recognized that he was genuinely sorry for what he had done. On the other hand, she couldn't ignore the hurt and betrayal she felt. It was like watching someone trying to put together a shattered vase with glue. No matter how much you try to piece it back together, the cracks are still visible. Matt's desperation reached a peak when he asked if he could come to a gathering with some of our mutual friends. He thought that being around familiar faces might help him show how much he had changed. I agreed to let him come, hoping it might offer some clarity, but the night was emotionally charged. Matt's presence was awkward, and it was evident that the strain of the situation was affecting everyone. During the gathering, Emily and Matt had a tense exchange. It was clear that despite his best efforts, the damage done was significant. Emily maintained her stance of needing time and space, which only seemed to frustrate Matt further. The evening ended on a somber note, with everyone feeling the weight of the unresolved issues hanging over us. The more I witnessed Matt's struggle, the more I questioned how to navigate this complex situation. It was becoming increasingly challenging to balance my role as a friend to both Emily and Matt. Seeing Matt's desperation and Emily's pain made me realize the depth of the impact this affair had on all of us. It was a stark reminder that actions have far-reaching consequences, and even when intentions are good, the road to healing is often long and painful. After weeks of emotional turmoil and constant back and forth between Matt and Emily, she finally made a decision. It was a relief, in a way, to have some resolution, but it came with its own set of challenges. Emily called me one evening, sounding calm but resolute. "Jake, I've made up my mind about what to do with Matt," she said. "I need to tell you first, since you've been such a big part of this." We met up at a quiet park, where Emily shared her decision. She had decided to end the relationship with Matt. It wasn't a decision she made lightly. She had spent countless hours reflecting on her feelings and the future of their relationship. She had also sought advice from a therapist, which helped her gain clarity. Emily explained that while she appreciated Matt's attempts to make amends and his genuine remorse, the trust between them was irreparably broken. The emotional scars were too deep, and she realized that she couldn't continue in a relationship where she felt so betrayed. She needed to prioritize her own well-being and happiness, and she couldn't do that while constantly looking over her shoulder. I was impressed by Emily's strength and clarity. It was a hard decision, but it seemed like the right one for her. She had faced the situation head-on and made a choice that was best for her mental and emotional health. I respected her for that. In the following days, Emily began the process of officially breaking up with Matt. She did it in a way that was direct yet compassionate. Matt took the news hard, but respected Emily's decision. There were more tears and emotional conversations, but Emily stayed firm in her choice. Watching Emily take control of her life and make a decision that was right for her was inspiring. It was a tough period, but it showed me the importance of self-respect and the courage it takes to stand up for oneself, even when it's incredibly painful. For Matt, it was a harsh lesson in the consequences of betrayal and the importance of trust in a relationship. The breakup between Emily and Matt was official, but the aftermath was still unfolding. It was clear that everyone needed time to adjust and heal, and the emotional impact was still being felt across the board. Emily started focusing on herself, channeling her energy into her hobbies, and spending time with supportive friends and family. She took some time off work to give herself a mental break and began working with a therapist to help process everything. It was heartening to see her gradually finding her footing again, but the process was slow and filled with ups and downs. For Matt, the aftermath was tough. He struggled with the reality of being single and the consequences of his actions. He threw himself into work, trying to distract himself from the emotional pain, but it was clear that he was deeply affected by the breakup. Matt also began seeking therapy, hoping to understand his actions and work on his personal issues. It was a step in the right direction, but it was a long road to self-improvement. Our friend group was also feeling the ripple effects. There were awkward conversations and a noticeable shift in dynamics. Some friends sided with Emily, while others felt torn between supporting her and maintaining their friendship with Matt. It was a reminder of how complicated social circles can become when personal relationships are tested. I found myself in a difficult position. I was doing my best to be there for both Emily and Matt, but it was emotionally draining. I felt like a mediator and a support system for both sides, and it was challenging to manage my own feelings while being present for them. The whole experience left me with a lot to think about. It highlighted how complex human relationships can be, and the way our actions can have far-reaching consequences. It was a reminder that even with the best intentions, navigating such situations requires sensitivity, patience, and self-awareness. In the end, it was clear that everyone was on their own path to healing. Emily was moving forward with her life, focusing on herself and her future. Matt was working through his regrets and seeking ways to grow from his mistakes. And I was left reflecting on the lessons learned and the importance of honesty, integrity, and compassion in relationships. As time passed, both Emily and Matt started to rebuild their lives, and the emotional storm began to settle. The process of moving on wasn't easy, but it was important for everyone to find their new normal. Emily continued her journey of self-discovery and healing. She became more involved in activities she enjoyed and began to explore new interests. It was inspiring to see her regaining her confidence and joy. She started dating again, but cautiously. She was focused on ensuring that any future relationships would be built on trust and mutual respect. For Matt, the path was more complicated. He was still working on understanding his mistakes and finding ways to better himself. He took up counseling more seriously and made a genuine effort to address the issues that led to his infidelity. It was a slow process, and not everything was smooth, but there were signs of positive change. he started focusing on building healthier relationships and becoming more self-aware. Our friend group began to find its footing again, though it took some time. We had to navigate the new dynamics, but with open communication and understanding, we managed to rebuild some semblance of normalcy. It was clear that the bonds had shifted, but we learned to adapt and support each other through the changes. As for me, the experience had a profound impact. I found myself reflecting deeply on my role in everything that had happened. It wasn't just about being a friend to Matt and Emily, but also about understanding the importance of being true to oneself while navigating complex situations. I realized that sometimes, doing the right thing involves more than just confronting issues. It requires ongoing support, empathy, and a willingness to grow from the experience. In the end, the ordeal taught me a lot about resilience, forgiveness, and the complexity of human relationships. It was a tough chapter, but it helped me appreciate the importance of honesty and integrity in both personal and social spheres. Moving forward, I hope to carry these lessons with me, aiming to build stronger, more meaningful connections and to approach life's challenges with greater compassion and understanding. Life had started to settle into a new rhythm when something unexpected happened that shook things up again. I ran into Matt at a local charity event. It was the first time we'd seen each other since the breakup, and the encounter was both awkward and illuminating. The event was a fundraiser for a cause Matt and Emily had both supported in the past, so it wasn't surprising to see him there. I wasn't sure how to approach him, but as the night went on, we ended up crossing paths. Matt was polite but seemed guarded. He mentioned that he was trying to give back to the community and make amends for his past mistakes. We exchanged small talk, and I could see that he was genuinely trying to move forward and make positive changes in his life. It was clear that he was still grappling with his past actions, but was earnestly working on improving himself. Later in the evening, I saw Emily at the event too. It was clear that she had come a long way since the breakup. She was radiant, engaging with friends, and seemed at ease. I was struck by how much she had grown through this whole experience. She seemed stronger and more self-assured than I had seen her in a long time. The awkwardness of seeing both Matt and Emily in the same space was palpable. They managed to avoid each other for most of the evening, but it was clear that the event had brought up some unresolved feelings. I was relieved that they managed to keep their interactions civil, but it was a stark reminder of how complicated healing can be. Seeing them both at the event made me realize how much each had changed since the fallout. Matt was trying to make amends and seek redemption, while Emily was embracing her newfound independence and strength. It was a powerful reminder of how people evolve through difficult times and how important it is to keep moving forward, even when the past lingers. In the end, the encounter was a mixed bag of emotions. It was good to see that both Matt and Emily were making strides in their lives, but it also underscored the lingering complexities of their past. I left the event with a sense of hope for both of them, knowing that healing is a continuous journey, filled with both challenges and opportunities for growth. The months following the charity event were a time of reflection and personal growth for everyone involved. Seeing Matt and Emily at that event made me think deeply about the entire ordeal and what it had taught me. One of the biggest lessons I learned was the importance of honesty and integrity, even when it's difficult. I had always known these values were important, but experiencing the fallout from Matt's actions really drove home how crucial they are in maintaining healthy relationships. Betrayal can have far-reaching consequences, and once trust is broken, rebuilding it takes a tremendous amount of effort and sincerity. I also gained a new perspective on the complexity of human emotions and relationships. It's easy to judge from the outside, but living through a situation like this revealed the intricate web of feelings and decisions involved. It made me more empathetic towards others and more understanding of the challenges they face. The experience also taught me about the importance of supporting friends while maintaining boundaries. Being there for Emily was emotionally demanding, but it reinforced the need for clear communication and self-care. I learned to balance my role as a friend with the need to protect my own well-being. It's crucial to offer support, but also to recognize when you need to step back and care for yourself. For Matt, it was a reminder of the importance of personal responsibility and growth. His journey towards self-improvement was a long and challenging one, but it showed that change is possible when one is willing to face their mistakes and work towards bettering themselves. I respected his effort, even if it was a slow process. As for Emily, watching her emerge stronger and more self-assured was inspiring. Her ability to take control of her life and prioritize her own happiness was a powerful example of resilience. It reinforced the idea that even in the face of significant pain, one can find strength and create a positive path forward. Overall, the experience was a tough but valuable lesson in navigating the complexities of human relationships. It underscored the importance of honesty, self-reflection, and the ability to adapt and grow from life's challenges. I came away with a deeper understanding of myself and others, and a renewed commitment to approaching life's difficulties with empathy and integrity. As time passed, the emotional intensity of the situation began to fade, and life started to find a new normal. Emily and Matt continued on their separate paths, each working on their personal growth and healing. Emily had made significant progress in her journey. She had started a new project at work that she was passionate about, and her social circle was expanding with new friends and activities. She seemed genuinely happy and fulfilled, and it was clear that she had found a new sense of purpose. Seeing her thrive was a comforting reminder that healing is possible, and that one's future can be bright even after experiencing deep pain. Matt, too, was making strides. His therapy sessions were helping him gain insight into his behavior and motivations. He began volunteering at local organizations and took on new responsibilities at work, trying to make amends and contribute positively to his community. Although he still had a long way to go, his efforts showed that he was committed to making lasting changes in his life. Our friend group had settled into a new dynamic. While the past was still a part of our shared history, we had learned to navigate the changes with a greater sense of understanding and acceptance. It was clear that the experience had brought us closer in some ways, and we were more mindful of supporting each other through life's ups and downs. For me, the process of moving forward involved a lot of introspection. I had learned a great deal about the complexities of relationships and the importance of maintaining one's values while dealing with difficult situations. I found that I was more attuned to my own needs and boundaries, and I had a renewed appreciation for the power of honesty and empathy. Reflecting on everything that had happened, I felt a mix of relief and pride. Relief that the immediate crisis had passed and that everyone was finding their way forward, and pride in how we had all managed to navigate such a challenging situation. It was a reminder that while life can be unpredictable and messy, it also offers opportunities for growth and healing. As I look ahead, I'm grateful for the lessons learned and the resilience demonstrated by everyone involved. The experience has shaped my perspective on relationships and personal growth, and I carry those lessons with me as I move forward. Life continues to unfold with its own set of challenges and joys, and I'm hopeful for what the future holds. As I wrap up this journey, I've been reflecting on everything that's happened and what I've learned from it. The past months have been a whirlwind of emotions, decisions, and growth for everyone involved. Here's a bit of what I've taken away from the whole experience and some advice for anyone who might find themselves in a similar situation. First and foremost, honesty is crucial in any relationship. The ripple effects of betrayal are profound and far-reaching. It's not just about the act of infidelity itself, but the trust that gets shattered and the long road to recovery. If you're in a situation where you're tempted to stray or hide the truth, remember that the fallout can be devastating and can affect not only the immediate people involved, but also your own mental and emotional well-being. If you're on the receiving end of betrayal, give yourself the grace to feel all the emotions that come with it. It's okay to be angry, sad, or confused. Take the time you need to process your feelings and make decisions that are right for you. Surround yourself with supportive friends and family, and don't hesitate to seek professional help if needed. Healing is a personal journey, and it's important to prioritize your own mental health and happiness. For those who find themselves in the role of a friend caught in the middle, remember that you can offer support without losing yourself in the process. It's a delicate balance between being there for both sides and taking care of your own emotional needs. Setting boundaries and being honest about your limitations can help manage the stress and prevent you from feeling overwhelmed. Lastly, understand that people can change, but change takes time and genuine effort. Whether it's someone trying to make amends or someone working on personal growth, patience and perseverance are key. Recognize that growth is a process and that healing and rebuilding trust are not quick fixes. Reflecting on this entire experience, I've come to appreciate the importance of empathy, communication, and self-respect. Life can throw unexpected challenges our way, but how we handle them shapes our journey and the relationships we cherish. I'm hopeful for the future, knowing that we all have the capacity to grow and learn from our experiences. Thanks for following along with my story. It's been a journey of learning and understanding, and I hope that sharing it has provided some insight or comfort to anyone going through similar struggles. Life is a complex web of relationships, and navigating it with honesty and empathy can make all the difference.